Hello everyone, it is Kenny the Puppy here with a new chapter, a new microphone, sorry pause there, and a new keyboard, and a new face cam, but you guys can't see that. Anyway, so I guess I'm just gonna get right on ahead. One moment. I have a hood on, so it's messing up my headphones. Okay. Chapter 5, maybe I'll move this a little closer so better audio quality and all that stuff. Since, yeah, I got one of these nice mics. Okay. Chapter 5. Drip, drip, drip. Water slowly fell from the dark stone ceiling and landed on the stone underneath. It was so dark. Sparks Brine had to squint to see the sunlight Sparks Brine had to squint to see the slightest bit of light coming from the distant lava pools below. He tiptoed with extreme caution. Slowly and quietly, Sparky got closer and closer to the end of the cave. He had been walking through the dark tunnel for what seemed like days, though it had only been a sunrise and a half. "Where are you, DJ? Please don't be dead in a lava pit. Please." Sparky finally saw the light coming from the end of the tunnel. It was just behind the corner. Sparks Brine swung around to see through the exit, and was almost blinded by the strong rays of light. He hadn't seen the sunshine in what he thought might have been days. There he stood at the tunnel's exit, blinded by sunlight. Once his eyes adjusted, Sparky noticed that he was not finally outside. Instead, he saw a large room carved out of stone. The roof funneled up where the sunshine beamed into the cave, which seemed brighter than usual. The beams of golden light sparkled down onto a platform in the center of the room. The platform was raised up above a lava pit, which served as the room's floor. "Welcome, Sparks Brine." An eerily calm voice Sparky had never heard before echoed into his ears. Sparks Brine looked down onto the platform where a man stood. He hadn't been there before. How did he get there? "Who are you and where is DJ?" Sparks Brine could hear a bit of terror in his own voice. "Don't you remember me? I sure didn't forget you." The man's glowing white eyes showed frustration at a memory Sparky didn't share with him. "Were we old friends? Did I do something to make your eyes like that, or were you just born that way?" This isn't a game, Sparks Brine. You know why I am here, and you're just trying to stall your demise. You can't talk your way out of this one. You can only fight." The man then drew his sword Sparky had never seen before. Sparky didn't know what to do with the stranger. The man had no armor, but his eyes showed no mercy. Sparky slowly took a small step backward. "What are you doing?" the man growled. "Leaving, I guess. I'm not really in the mood to fight a noob right now." As soon as he said noob, Sparky knew he was not going to get away easily. "What did you call me?" The man only grew angrier. Sparky's face looked as if he had just been caught stealing a cookie from the cookie store. He now wished he hadn't said anything. You sure have changed since I last saw you. I wonder, do you remember anything before the code bomb?" "What is a code bomb?" Sparks Brine's question answered Herobrine immediately. Sparky hoped the man would have compassion for the person in the room, who had no idea what was going on. "Oh, so that's why." The man did seem to calm down a little. "Why what?" Sparky hoped for some answer as he said this. "Never mind that. There is someone I would like you to meet. You two have already met, but I figured you'd like to meet the one who helped me plan all of this." Right after the man said that, purple particles swirled around as Neon teleported beside his master. Sparky jumped back. This man must have been who Neon and his friends were talking about. This man was Herobrine. Nice to see you again, Sparky. Neon had a little cocky. Neon said, a little cocky. He probably was beginning to understand how much Herobrine needed him. What? How? Sparky was shocked. Neon worked for Herobrine? Herobrine knows me somehow? What else? Is DJ a ghost or something? Is Candy a soldier who makes her living on world domination? Is Tedder actually good at anything? Who knows in this world? Oh, I love how I just very subtly slid in actual lore. Anyway, hey, Sparks Brine, look up. Neon interrupted Sparky's panicking moment. Sparky looked up. There were 2 hanging cages, which he hadn't seen before. Both of them were made out of stone bricks and iron bars, and both of them had people inside. The one on the left had Candy and Tedder. Both of them were looking down at him. They looked a little burnt, too. To the right had DJ. He was looking at Sparky with confusion on his face. What? How did they get up there? Put them back now! Sparky already knew he would have to fight for his friends. Excuse me? I don't think you understand who is in charge here. I give you the orders. I can barely hear myself. These headphones are very muffled, so it's kind of hard to hear myself. And when I do, you obey them. If you don't, your friends will fall, all the way into the pit. All the way into the lava. Dude, you really got some anger issues. Sparky's joke made him and his friends smile. Even Neon smiled a little. Man, I was so good at jokes back then. But Herobrine didn't smile. Instead, he looked as if he were going to explode like a creeper. He was so angry. I was also good at those, metaphors. Do as I tell you. You better be thankful I'm not allowed to kill you right here and now. Well, who's stopping you? I said, who's stopping you? Sparksbrine was growing a little too comfortable yelling at Herobrine. He probably was just trying to stall his demise. Herobrine looked Sparky square in the eyes. If he had pupils, they would look like a blazing fire. Then he dropped his head in embarrassment. I don't know. His expression almost made Sparky feel sorry for him. Almost. Sparky looked up at his friends. They looked like they were planning a way out. They looked like they were planning a way out. Candy's face told Sparky, Keep stalling. Sparky nodded his head silently in response and looked back down at Herobrine. What? Herobrine's eyes were glowing brighter than before. His entire body was emitting a small white glow. He hovered above the ground, and he was looking directly at Sparksbrine. Neon had teleported to the side of the room. He was looking at Sparky too, except he looked at Sparky with concern and terror for him. Neon knew many things about Herobrine that only a few others knew, and when Sparky saw Neon's face, he shook with horror. Herobrine was silent, which made things even scarier. He motioned his arm forward. With this motion, blocks came up from under the lava and formed a staircase. The staircase went from where Sparky was standing down to the platform. With a straight face, Herobrine motioned for Sparksbrine to walk down to the platform. Obediently, Sparky slowly stepped down the floating blocks toward the platform. Man, I'm so repetitive. He was terrified about what would happen to him, but he knew that his friends would surely die if he didn't obey. As he walked down the floating blocks, Sparky looked up at his friends. They were looking down at him from behind the bars. They hadn't found a way out yet. They needed more time. Sparky then began walking down the stairs slower. Herobrine noticed he was stalling. He moved his hand again, and the block Sparky was standing on floated down to the platform. All the other blocks fell back into the lava as the block Sparky was clinging onto passed them. The block then stopped at the platform and tipped over, causing Spark's brain to fall off of it. Herobrine then looked towards the center of the platform. He lifted both his arms. As he did that, blocks moved away to create a square hole in the center of the platform. Out of the hole rose an end portal. The portal had not been activated yet, so don't try jump in. Once the portal had risen to the platform level, it stopped. Neon teleported just a few blocks away from it. He carried an ender eye in his left hand. There were already 11 ender eyes in the portal. One more and the portal would light up. Man, I actually knew that. Wow, I was so smart. What's that? Thought Sparky. Though Sparky knew nothing about the portal and had only heard stories about the end, he was pretty sure it was a portal that led to the end. Neon looked at Sparky with a bit of confusion and wonder in his glowing eyes. It seemed as if Neon hadn't seen the end before. I, Tedder, and DJ were trying to plan our escape. Our items had been taken from us and had been put in a chest on the side of the tall room. We had no way to get out. Under the floor was a pool of lava. We had no blocks to climb out of the roof once we broke in. And if we punched the iron bars, it would take a long time, and most likely someone would notice us. DJ didn't have any ideas. His specialty was fighting, not escaping things. I had never had to break out of anything either. I had never been caught before. Wait. Oh, yeah. Of course, that is because all my past... I see, it says Tedder, but it's actually supposed... Oh, okay, never mind. It's I, Tedder, and DJ. Okay, so this is Candy's point of view. For some reason, I was like, wait, when did I have a Tedder's point of view at this part in the story? Anyway, I'll just continue. Okay. Just to be sure, Kenny's point of view. I had never had to break out of anything either. I had never been caught before. Of course, that is because all my past enemies didn't care about whether I was alive or not. They just wanted to destroy stuff. In this situation, I was being used against Sparky. Once the end portal appeared, I recognized it immediately. Surprisingly, I had never been to the end before. I was never interested in fighting any dragons. I would just stand in front of the portal, moving right and left, looking at the star-like illusion. An end portal is very pretty to look at. Anyway, once the portal came into view, Tedder and I began banging on the bars and punching them. DJ soon followed when he realized what those mysterious blocks were. Sparky, no! If you go in, there is no coming out unless you kill the Ender Dragon. I tried to warn him. What? There's an Ender Dragon in there? Sparky shook all around as he looked up at me. I probably shouldn't have said anything. I saw the portal light up and the star illusion show. Jump in. Herobrine smiled as if he had won the hardest chess tournament ever. Sparky slowly stepped to the edge of the starry portal. He looked up at us and, as if he was never going to see us again, said to us, "Bye, friends." Then he hopped into the portal. Particles sprung out of the portal like a splash as he fell through the starry illusion. No! I knew yelling wouldn't help anything. I just couldn't believe I wasn't able to save him. In fact, because of my help, he was in all this mess. After Sparky jumped in, I fell to my knees, looking at the starry illusion. I could do nothing. After Sparky jumped in, Herobrine turned to Neon, who was staring into the illusion, and said in a surprisingly friendly way, "I know you have never seen the end before, Flash Sparkatron. So, I want you to follow Sparks Brine and make sure he doesn't hurt himself. Feel free to have a look around." Neon smiled. His excitement to explore momentarily forgave the wide-eyed man as he jumped in after Sparks Brine. Herobrine knew the ones in the cages would only try to follow, so he pulled every single ender eye out of the portal to cover it up with obsidian. Once he was satisfied, his entire body glowed even brighter than before, as he seemed to evaporate up out of the hole at the top of the cave. After the cave was still for a while, Candy finally interrupted the silence with, "Well, anyone have a diamond pickaxe?" Ba-dum-bum. The end. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 5. If you enjoyed that, good for you. Let's just say I've definitely improved writing. Let's say, usually you can tell how old I was at the time, because usually, for some reason, I've made my characters about a year older than I am when I'm writing it. So usually by the time I finish the book, I'm like the age of the character. Usually it isn't purposeful, it's just because I'm like, oh, I imagine myself older and being cooler when I'm older, and then I get older and I'm like, I'm still not very cool, but okay. So, Candy in this story, she's 16. I believe I said that in the second chapter or something. And so, yeah, I wrote this when I was 15, and I finished it probably, I think the month or something. Let's see. I don't know, I have the capability of coming here and seeing. I usually dated it. Yep, it was just a few months before I turned 16. So, so yeah, there's that. It's cool. Bye everybody. Excited to see the next chapter and all that stuff. Oh man, I'm so good at extras. Or extras in the extras, the buys, the bye-byes, what are they called?